Hello. This is a quick introduction to a proof of concept app I've been working on called LogChipper. The goal of the app is to be able to take a small set of sample logs and leverage LLMs like GPT 3.5 to then generate more logs off of that small set. Initially, when we started, the original method was to gather a set of sample logs and then just leverage the LLM to generate more logs off of that sample set and output that to wherever we need. This method is fairly easy. It's fast for small batches, but it uses a lot of tokens when it's generating. It tends to be inconsistent with the log format and the time format, especially when it gets to using a lot of the tokens for contextual information, and then the large batches tend to be much slower. The new method still starts with gathering sample logs, but then from there leverages the LLM to create a log template, and that template can be output to a INI file. Then the script uses that template to then generate more sample logs. The template also includes sample values, so expected values for each field within the log format template, and that can then be output into wherever you need. The benefits of this is still fairly easy to use. It's fast for all batch sizes since we're only leveraging the LLM at the template generation stage. It's consistent. The log format and the time is consistent. The log format and time is also more customizable now for us. And there's overall fewer tokens used since, again, the tokens were only used initially when you feed it the sample logs to generate the template. So let's take a look at what the current state of the application looks like. All right, so this is the LogChipper application on the right side, the code on the left side. What we'll do is go ahead and do a test run. So I have this set of logs here. When we're generating a template, we want to try to stay on one type of log. So here we have four lines where the top three are a similar log type, whereas the last one is a little different. So for each of these log types, you would generate its own template. If you try to generate one off of all of this, then this last portion after the host name might be jumbled into, one message field or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and grab the top three, which is of one type. We can put it into sample logs and click generate. The more up-to-date version I've been working on has more visual cues, and logging is presented to you when it generates, but this version doesn't really have any visual cues, so you kind of just click generate and wait. And it generates a log format for you. It also pulls out sample values from the sample logs you gave it. We can add more as we like. So here you see user, we can add user 2 and save, successfully saved, and you can see that's in here. One thing to note is the date field has to be one big field. So these top four parameters are required as well as the log, the format string. But the date and time should all be encompassed into or combined into one variable. And sometimes the system prompt, even though it specifies to combine it into one, it tends to like to split it up into month, day, and so on. So you have to be wary of that. If it happens, I would just rerun it, let it generate a new format that combines it all together. So here we have all the various fields that it has found converted into this format. The newer version uses Jinja instead of just these curly brackets. So any variables that are in here, for example, host, has its own allowed values entry down here. So if it's a variable in here, it has to have a entry down here. So all variables need to have their own entries down here. I can actually see one in this that is not that doesn't actually have a entry. I don't think UID has its own entry or user number. So there is a UID field, but it doesn't have UID equals, yeah. So it messed up a little there, so we'll just go ahead and fix it. If it does mess up, then there is logging that you can take a look at. So we'll put UID as that. Go ahead and put that there. Okay, so we were missing this value, and this one was kind of messed up a little bit. So we went ahead and fixed that. We can click save again. Cool, that's been reflected, and then we can click generate logs. So now it takes those sample logs that we gave it and just randomly generates events. These two values up here, the interval, it's just a simple way of introducing a little bit of jitter. So instead of every event being maybe a second spaced apart, it randomly chooses a value between 1 to 60 seconds, which we can also customize. So as we generate more, it spaces it out randomly. So we can take these sample logs and pipe it wherever we need. Again, this is the current proof of concept. There's obviously a lot more improvements I want to make. When you think of something like maybe like a brute force attack that you want to simulate, that an attack might have many events that would occur in a specific sequence. So maybe a capability to create a story where a certain set of events happen in a specific order or within a specific period of time, along with all the random events that might happen for that specific data source. So that's something that I want to work on in the future, but current state, it just generates these logs based off of the log template. So here we have the actual script itself. It just has the API key hard-coded for now, which I'll need to update in the future. You have the templates.ini file, which is where all your templates live. In the future, I imagine the default would have the templates that the app ships with, and then local would be the templates that you update and create on your own. There's some stuff in there for Flask, and then we have the generate logs log file, which is where the logs are placed, and you can come in here to look for errors. But yeah, so that's kind of the current state of the app. I've made some more improvements, but I'll try to showcase that soon. That's also some improvements. It listed some improvements, so if you want to help me work on this, or if you have any suggestions, or want to submit any issues or anything on the GitHub repo, feel free. But other than that, I think that is it for this quick showcase.